Chase at the 40. Look at that move. Look at Chase go. Oh, my goodness. What a gear.
He comes down to this in his car end zone. Intercepted.
McPherson. And Cincinnati is heading to the Super Bowl.
Toss here. Mixon's going to throw. Open man. Caught. Higgins touchdown.
Drives touchdown. Joe Burrow has his first rushing touchdown of the season.
Hooday, Bengal fans. He is Maan. I am Jake. This is the Bengals Pulse, the heartbeat of our Cincinnati Bengals. Maan, I'm excited about this show today. We are going to do our roster reveal. But before we do, Maan, I got to give a quick shout out to my second family, the Abelhassens, Jake and Olivia. I don't know how. I want to hear about it. I don't know how you pulled this thing off this weekend. Both of your kids graduated from college on the same exact day. First of all, congratulations to you and your family. You guys, you know the Owenses, we love you. To Jake and Olivia, congratulations, guys. I'm so happy for you. Maan, you got to be beside yourself right now. Probably a little tired, maybe. I mean, I'm just kind of calculating the age and the driving and everything else and that goes on with that. But congratulations, man. What a big weekend for the Abelhassens.
It was a big, big weekend. Very proud parents. Yeah, it was a lot of traveling. My daughter, Olivia, graduated from Florida Southern in Lakeland, Florida. Her ceremony was at 1:30 on Saturday. And my son, Jake, graduated from Florida State, and his ceremony started at 7. I couldn't be at both, so my wife, Heather, went to my daughter's graduation in Lakeland, Florida, and I ended up traveling to Tallahassee. But before, I had a detour. I went to Lakeland at early in the morning and had breakfast with my daughter. Got to see her on her graduation date, and then I drove all the way to Tallahassee. It was 4.5, almost 5-hour drive, and got to see my son walk. And it was emotional. It was a little sad that we couldn't be at both, but it was like a divide and conquer. My wife was in Lakeland, and I was in Tallahassee, and we're proud of our kids, and all 3 of them are college graduates, and they're wonderful, and they're going to go out and conquer the world, I hope.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations again to you and Heather, and of course Olivia, and of course Jake Han Solo Abelhassan. Congratulations, you guys, and of course your other son being Luke, who graduated a few years ago. But man, congratulations, guys. That's just awesome.
Yeah, it was great. Luke was in Lakeland also. He went to see Olivia's graduation with his mother, and they had a great time. And I was driving to Tallahassee, and I'm on I-10, bad cell phone reception, but I don't do this, Bengal Pulse fans, but I was driving and on my phone watching my daughter walk on the stage, and I got to see that. So I got to see them announce her name. So I got to see her walk. It was really great. But I'm talented at 54. I can drive and watch a video on my phone. It's good stuff. Jake, before we continue, there's something. Go ahead. No, I wanted to mention about our. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead and mention that real quick first, because we do need to mention that for sure.
Yes, a few weeks ago we were going to mention this. We didn't do it. Just to all of our fans, we record on Sundays. We have very unique schedules, and it's hard for us to go live, even though we have done that in the past. But it's really tough to do, and something we're working on. We plan on going live soon, but we do record on Sunday, and we release it Monday night at 7:30. We could go live on Sundays, but our recording is odd at times. Sometimes it's in the morning, sometimes it's the middle of the day, sometimes it's at night. So we want to be consistent with a 7:30 show on Monday, and we're working on that. We're working on trying to incorporate live shows. So please be patient with us. We really appreciate all the activity in the chat room. Both of us, or one of us, is in the chat room usually during the premiere on Monday night. We really love the interaction with the fans. Keep those questions coming, and we really appreciate your support. But we plan on doing many more live shows in the future. Just be patient with us on that. Yeah,
absolutely. Thank you guys again. And yes, we are. That is the that is our goal, is just to eventually go live full time. Obviously, with Mon being a firefighter and me being a head football coach, it can be very difficult at times. But thank you guys so much for participating in the chat rooms and stuff. But yes, we are hopefully going to be going live very soon. I just want to say real quick on the other thing that the good thing is you don't have to wait around very long for your name to be called, right? I mean, it's pretty much with Abel Hassan, you're right there at the top of the list. Like, I can't imagine there's too many names being called before your kids.
No, you're right. When there's school that they graduated from, School of Communications or political science, they were the first one to go. I will say this: my son has been interning at Florida State University in university relations, and
Big time, big time up there.
they offered him a job, so he's going to be working there. I got a special pass. I got to go up to one of the little luxury boxes and watch his graduation. It was nice. I felt like a celebrity.
That's big time.
It was Bengal Pulse Perks, so you can't beat that.
All right, well, hey, let's get into the show, because I'm real excited to see the format. I love how we're going to do this tonight. What we're going to do, listeners, is we are now that the draft is done, now that free agency's kind of wrapped itself up. Obviously, with the schedule being released next week, rookie mini camp next, there's a lot of stuff going on next week. So before we get to all of that, we want to do a roster rebuild here and see if Mon can get us to 53 right now with the guys that we have. So what I'm going to do, Mon, is I'm going to go position by position and list off guys that we have on the roster. And again, I'm not going to go through the entire roster, because there's some guys on there that, are going to be fighting for roster spots. But I'm going to give you the basic gist of the roster right now, Mon. You're going to tell me who's going to make it and who's going to not make it. We're going to see if you can get down to 53 as our new GM of the Bengals. But before we do, Mon, real quick, but we haven't really talked about this, but here's the list of the majority of the undrafted free agents that we signed. I'm going to go through them real quick. All right. Jackson Kirkland, the guard from Washington, safety Larry Brooks from Tulane, running back Calvin Tyler Jr. from Utah State, linebacker Shaka Hayward from Duke, wide receiver Mac Hippenhammer from Miami of Ohio, defensive tackle Devonsha Maxwell from Chattanooga, wide receiver Cedric Jackson from Auburn, tight end Christian Trajan from Houston. We have running back Jacob Sailors from Eastern Tennessee State, and linebacker Jalen Moody from Alabama. Real quick, Mon, any of those guys, do any of those guys have a chance to make the roster? I mean, obviously, the Shaka Hayward kid, I think he's got a pretty good chance. The Bengals gave him a $30,000 signing bonus, which is a big deal when it comes to college free agency. Jackson Kirkland's another guy, that guard, that was highly touted at one time. And then Jalen Moody, I think the linebacker from Alabama, is another interesting guy. But what do you think, Mon? I really want Mac Hippenhammer to make the roster, just because I think that's a badass name. But what do you think, Mon? What do you think about any of the undrafted guys going to make this roster, or at least have a chance?
I think the linebacker and the offensive lineman Kirkland both had draftable grades. The linebacker from Duke, Shaka Hayward, giving him a $30,000 signing bonus. That's a lot of money for the Bengals when it comes to undrafted free agents.
Yes.
They normally 10, 15, 20,000 max.
That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money for most NFL organizations. That was
some of the organizations are actually given full guarantees, not upfront money, but they're giving them full guarantees. So they're sort of circumventing the cap a little bit. But for the Bengals, they give $30,000 up front. That's huge. I could see him potentially had a draftable grade. I saw in some publications, 5th, 6th round pick potentially. Kirkland, watching videos of him, by no means am I saying he's Andrew Whitworth, but he has a body build similar to him. He's tall. I could see him potentially fighting for a roster spot. If not, they'll definitely be practice squad guys. But a good pickup for the Bengals. And they obviously outbid a lot of people for Hayward. So that's a good get for them.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. All right, here we go, and we'll see. We'll see what those guys look like a little bit at the rookie minicamp, which I love watching rookie minicamp. I think it's just one of those awesome things to watch these guys come out and fight for roster spots. All right, here we go, Mon. You ready to do this?
I am.
Let's rebuild this roster to 53 right now, Mon. No pressure, but we need one of these, Mon. We need one of these, and I need you to build this roster to 53 to get us one of these. You understand that?
I'm
All right,
ready.
you're ready. I can tell you're ready. You got the button down tonight. You're very serious. You got the serious glasses too. Those I call those your serious glasses. Those are your professional focus glasses.
The other glasses, I get really bad glare, and you can't even see my eyes. And so I'm like, I need to switch them up. So I got these, and hopefully you guys can see the eyes.
All right, here we go. Ready? All right, here we go. Sure. Why can't you just go? Why can't you just go with the compliment? I'm giving you a compliment. All right, here we go. Ready? Quarterback. Let's start off at the toughest one. Right? Here we go. Obviously, Joe Burrow at the top of the list. A very interesting signing. We saw Allen go to the Niners, and shortly after, our Bengals went out and got Trevor Siemian, and then Jake Browning, Jake the Snake Browning. So you got Burrow, Siemian, and Browning. Mon, who is going to make the roster from those three guys?
I don't know. It's a tough one. I think the odd man out is going to be Burrow. He's done. No, obviously Joe Burrow's number one. We know that he ranked number one in the per PFF last year out of 39 quarterbacks that were on their chart. He was ranked number one. Simeon, I think he has 25, 30 career NFL starts. His record isn't that great. He did beat the Bengals a few years back. I really like Browning. I loved him in preseason. He was a gunslinger. I thought he looked good. But I think we're going to go with Simeon. If something happened where Joe Burrow missed a game or two, having Simeon come in with 30 NFL starts, you can't. I think you can't beat that. Simeon to me is an upgrade over Brandon Allen, and I was actually happy with that signing. I know he's a low level. It's not some big free agent signing, but it's an upgrade to what we had last year.
All right, so we got Burrow and we got Simeon, and Simeon had the 4 touchdown game right against us when he was with the Broncos, I think, right?
Yes, he did.
Okay, so I got you as Burrow and Simeon. Those are our 2 quarterbacks, 1 and 2. All right, running back. Here we go, Mon. Again, we got 6 guys on the roster. I'm going to name you 4. We got obviously Joe Mixon, Chase Brown, the rookie, Travion Williams, and Chris Evans. Mon, who makes the roster?
Okay, obviously the running the rookie's going to make it. Chase Brown's going to make it. The Bengals could go 3 at this spot, but I'm going to give them 4 running backs. It's going to be Joe Mixon, Chase Brown. We're not going to give up on Chris Evans and Travion Williams. That's going to be our 4.
All right.
If we have to go light at another or light at a position, this might be one where we drop down to 3, but I'm giving us 4. Those 4 are going to be the starters, and Joe Mixon is going to return as a Cincinnati Bengal. Chase Brown will get a lot of carries. He's going to be our future at that spot.
And obviously Travion Williams being the starter at kick returner, right?
Yes.
So, all right, so here we go. Mon is not giving up on Chris Evans yet.
Too much talent. Too much talent.
All right, here we go. Wide receiver. This is another tough one, right? Here we go. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, Charlie Jones, Andre Yosivas, Trent Irwin, Trent Taylor, Stanley Morgan, and Kwame Lassiter. Obviously, Charlie Jones and Yosivas, the 2 rookies, Mon. Who makes this roster?
Jake, this is going to be a tough one. We know the big 3. We fully get that. Jamar Chase, Higgins, and Boyd are the big 3, guaranteed to make the team. I think the 2 draft picks make it. Yoshivas and Jones are going to make the team. Yoshivas could be a practice squatter, but with his athletic ability and his measurables, I think he'll get plucked on the waiver wire. I think the Bengals will keep him as their 6th or 7th wide receiver, depending on how many they carry.
Okay.
He's going to be inactive. He's going to learn and develop his first year. So I believe that's 5 right now. I think the 6th is going to be Irwin. Irwin is going to make the roster.
Okay.
That's going to be 6. They could go 7 with Trent Taylor being the 7th. If they do that, one running back has to go. But I'm keeping 6 wide receivers with Taylor being the odd man out.
And Stanley Morgan being the odd man out.
Yes.
Wow.
I know.
Wow.
That's a special team hit, but there's going to be special team makeup here later on, and we'll talk about that.
Okay. All right. Here we go. So Trent Taylor, Kwame Lasser, and Stanley Morgan. Wow. Again, now these guys obviously, with the new rules change, they can go onto the practice squad, but obviously, as you said, they can get plucked right away. All right. Here we go. Tight end. This is a very short list, Maan. I went ahead and just named 3 because the other guys, obviously, they're fighting for spots. And here we go. Irv Smith, Drew Sample, and Devin Asia. Who makes the roster?
They're going to go with 3 tight ends. Irv Smith, obviously, is 1. Drew Sample was a 2nd-round pick. He had that injury last year. I think he makes it, and Asiasi is the 3rd. They could go 4 here, but I think they're going to go 3 right now. This is a fluid situation. The 3rd tight end might not even be on the roster. It could be on another team's roster, or it could be Mitchell Wilcox. They're only going to keep 3 in this scenario. That could easily change also. They could go to 4 if that happens. One other group might have to drop down. I have offensive line at, we're going to go over offensive line in a minute, but they could go 1 less there. But I have 3 tight ends with Asiasi, Irv Smith, and Drew Sample as the 3.
All right, so here we go. Smith, Sample, and Asiasi, all 3 making this roster at tight end. Here we go. All right, Mom. Let's do this offensive line. I need you to fix this thing, Mon. I need you to give me some kind of order into what we're going to do here. I'm going to go ahead and give you the projected starters first, okay? So we have, obviously, Orlando Brown, Cordell Volson, Ted Karras, Alex Kappa, and Jonah Williams, right? So those are the projected 5. That's literally from left tackle to right tackle, what I just named. Okay. All right. Here are the guys fighting for spots. I'm going to go ahead and put Kirkland on there, the undrafted free agent we just talked about.
Okay.
Because I think he does have a chance to make this roster. Then you have Cody Ford, the free agent signing from this year, Hakeem Adeniji, Trey Hill, Max Sharping, Jackson Carman, and Lel Collins. Mon, who makes this roster?
Okay. I'm going to go with my starting 5, which is your same starting 5.
Okay.
We have Orlando Brown, obviously.
Right.
Volson.
Right.
And Karras, Kappa. My right tackle right now is going to be Jonah Williams, $12 million a year. He's going to start at right tackle.
Okay.
That's 5. Okay. The other 5 are going to be Trey Hill, backup center.
Okay.
I have Cody Ford, backup swing tackle and guard.
Okay.
I'm going to have Hakeem Adeniji, backup tackle. That's 8.
Okay.
Jackson Carman, tackle. And I'm going to have Deontay Smith. Now, people are shocked here. 10. Leal Collins will be PUP, physically unable to perform, so he doesn't count. He's going to start the season on the PUP. First 6 games, he's out. So that's my 10. That's my 10.
Wow, I did not name Deontay Smith, but that's interesting. You think he makes it over Max Sharping, huh?
Yeah, I don't think Sharping is going to make the team. I'll give that spot to Cody Ford to be the swing guard tackle.
Okay.
I know people think that he has a chance at right tackle. Maybe he does. He has played both. I'm going to just Sharping. They did sign him, 2nd-round pick of the Texans. I can't keep 11. They might even drop down to 9. but this is the 10 I'm sticking with. I think Deontay Smith, he really, had a great pre-draft process. I know he struggled the last couple years. I think he has potential, and the Bengals need tackles. They need tackles. I think they're going to keep him.
What if they do drop to 9? Because I'm really surprised you have Adeniji making this roster. If they drop to 9, who do you get rid of then?
Deontay Smith.
Over Adeniji, huh?
I would. Adeniji has a lot of NFL starts. They're not pretty, but he
They
has
are
NFL
pretty.
starts.
They aren't pretty, Mon.
He has a lot of NFL starts, and I think that's you can sort of lean on that a little bit. Smith hasn't, unless Smith has a great camp, which I hope he does, because I was very excited when we drafted him, because I remember he was the star of that Senior Bowl when he was in it.
Okay. And another guy, too, we didn't mention is Ben Brown, coming off of injury. Going to be interesting to see what kind of camp Ben Brown has as well. But here you go. Here are the guys I got for you. Brown, Volson, Karras, Kappa, Williams, Ford, Adeniji, Hill, Smith, Carmen, and then you got La'el Collins starting on the PUP list. When La'el Collins comes off, Deontay's still the odd man out, huh?
He would be if we're at 10. I think if La'el Collins comes back cleared, I think Smith is the last man, the last of the 10 offensive linemen. He'll be gone. You know this better than anybody. Injuries happen, and somebody's going to get nicked up, and so Ben Brown's, all these other guys, the Kirkland, they're going to be practice squatters, learning, and they're going to be ready to come in and jump in when these unfortunate injuries happen. Also, that 9th and 10th spot on the offensive line. Remember last year, Jake, they picked up 3 waiver wire guys, last cut down of the. I wouldn't be surprised if they pick up another offensive lineman. It could easily happen.
But that was
Sharping, Tuafele, and Asiasi.
Asiasi. Right. Okay. All right. And all three of those guys, I'm guessing you're going to have make this roster again. We haven't got to defense yet, but I'm guessing Tuafele.
Tuafele. Yeah, Sharping I didn't have on the 10.
Oh, that's right. Sharping you didn't have. I have Sharping making it. You don't have Sharping making it.
Okay, that's 25. I have 25 on offense right now out of 53.
Okay. Yes, you have 25 right now. Let's just go ahead and do special teams real quick. Here we go.
Okay.
At punter, the big, exciting battle of camp this year. Is it going to be Brad Robbins or Drew Chrisman, Mon? Who is going to be our punter?
It's going to be Robbins.
Of course.
You don't spend a 6th-round pick on a player and cut him. Robbins is going to be the punter for the Cincinnati Bengals.
Awesome. And then obviously we don't have to. Let's mention them because I love them. But obviously Money Mac, Evan McPherson's our kicker, and Cal Adamitis is going to be our long snapper. So right now, Mom, we are at 28. 28 on the roster. Okay.
Got it.
We got 25 to go. Let's go to defense here. You ready?
Yes.
All right, here we go. All right, let me see. Where do I want to start? Let's start with the toughest one. Let's look at the defensive line, Mom, because as I was going through making mine, man, oh man, I tell you what, there are some really tough decisions that are going to have to be made here. There's going to be a couple guys that are talented guys that might not make this roster up front on that defensive line. But here we go. Let's start at D end. All right, you ready?
Yes.
Here's our D end guys: Sam Hubbard, Miles Murphy, Trey Hendrickson, Joseph Asai, Cam Sample, Jeff Gunter, and Terrell Basham. Mon, who makes the roster?
Okay, the big four, obviously, Hendrickson, Hubbard, locks in at defensive end. You have Hill and Reeder, locks. Those four.
No, we're just doing DN right now. Just doing.
Okay,
DN.
I thought we were doing the whole defensive line. Okay,
just DN. Just do a DN first.
Gotcha. Hendrickson, Hubbard, Osai.
Mm-hmm.
The 1st-round pick, Murphy's going to make it.
Okay,
that's
cool.
4.
That's 4.
Okay, that is going to be a tough one. That's going
so
to
then
be
you have Cam Sample,
right,
Gunter, who was hurt last year, and Basham, the free agent signing this year.
I have Cam Sample making it 5, and I'm going to go 6 defensive ends. I'm going to go Gunther the 6th.
Over Basham.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. Very interesting. Wow. All right. That threw me for a loop there. All right, here we go. D tackle, nose tackle. We're going to do nose tackle and D tackle together. Here we go. We got DJ Reader, Josh Tapau, BJ Hill, Zach Carter, and Jay Tuafale.
This is a fluid situation. I could easily dump Gunter and keep a defensive tackle.
Mm-hmm.
But right now I'm keeping Gunter. I'm torn between one. Reader, obviously, Hill, Tapau is very underrated. And you have Zach Carter, who was a high draft pick. That gets us 10 because I had Gunter as the 6th defensive end. I love Tuafale. I'm actually changing this. Tuafale will be my 5th defensive tackle. I'm going to have 5 defensive ends, 5 defensive tackles. Jeff Gunter, hopefully I get you on the practice squad.
Okay. All right. That sounds better. That sounds a little bit better. That's about what I had. All right, here we go. That's a tough one. That's a real tough one. I mean, again, if Gunter or Basham get cut, those are some good football players. That's some quality football guys right there. And Gunter, we really have a very small sample size of what he can do. So yeah, going to be interesting to see there. I could see Gunter making the practice squad. I just don't see the Bengals not going 5-5 with the D end D tackle. And I still think Terrell Basham makes his team, and I'm gonna tell you how I think that here in a minute. But here we go. Here's the linebackers. We have Jermaine Pratt, Logan Wilson, right? Then you have Joe Bocci, Marcus Bailey, Akeem Davis Gaither. You have Moody, the undrafted free agent from Alabama, and Hayward, the undrafted free agent from Duke. Maan, who makes this roster?
This is an easy one. I only have 5 linebackers on this team. They don't carry a lot of linebackers. Usually have 2 on during defense and 1 on third down. Obviously, the big 2, Logan Wilson and Pratt. I have Marcus Bailey, Akeem Davis as the 4th, and I'll go ahead and say Joe Bocci right now as the 5th.
Okay.
And that's it. That's the 5 linebackers I have.
Okay.
One of the undrafted free agents could sneak in there. You never know. I think they really like the Hayward kid, so he could replace either Bailey or Bocci. But Bailey, really core special teamer. If we're losing Stanley Morgan and my 53, I got to keep Bailey.
What about Terrell Basham? I think you're overlooking that this guy is a pass rush specialist. He could get in over a Joe Bocci. They go 4 off-ball linebackers and then maybe keep a Basham, a guy that is athletic enough to drop into coverage. It's going to be very interesting to see how that all plays out with those 2 spots. All right, here we go. DB, you ready?
Uh-huh.
All right, by the way, just to get you caught up, you are at 15 right now. That means you're going to keep 10 DBs. Is that right?
Correct.
Wow. All right. Let's see who you are keeping at DB. All right. Let's go corner first. Here we go. Corner first. I'm going to throw nickel in with that corner. We got Cheeto Awuzie, Cam Taylor-Britt. We have DJ Turner. We have Sidney Jones. We have Alan George. We have DJ Ivy. We have Mike Hilton. And we have Jalen Davis. Mon, who makes this roster?
Okay, I have the Bengals keeping 6 cornerbacks.
Okay.
Cornerback 1 is going to be Cheeto.
Mm-hmm.
Quarterback 2 is going to be Cam Taylor-Britt.
Mm-hmm.
And then the slot is obviously going to be Mike Hilton.
Okay, there's 3.
That's 3. I have DJ Turner making it, which is going to be 4.
Mm-hmm.
I also have Sidney Jones making it, which will be 5.
Okay.
And then it's a tough one, man. It really is tough. They love Jalen Davis in the slot as a backup, but they got so many guys now. Alan George is there. I'm going to go with the raw potential. I'm going to go with Alan George as the 6th DB.
All right.
Cornerback, as a 6th cornerback.
As a 6th cornerback. All right. Friend of the show, Alan George, makes a roster. All right, here we go. That's 6. You got 4 guys left, Mon. You got 4 guys left. Here we go. Safety. Dax Hill, Nick Scott, Jordan Battle, the rookie, Tyson Anderson, Mike Thomas, and Brandon Wilson. Who you got, Mon?
Jordan Battle obviously makes it. The 2 draft picks last year make it. Tyson Anderson and Dax Hill. Dax Hill being a starter. And Nick Scott is going to be the 4th guy. Those are going to be the 4. And Dax Hill obviously is very, very he's going to start. He's going to play the Jesse Bates role. But he can also fill in a pinch and play slot corner if needed. They had him play corner last year when they had all those injuries. He's very flexible with his skill set. But those are the 4, so that gives me 10 defensive backs. Jordan Battle, Dax Hill, Tyson Anderson, and Nick Scott.
So,
free agent pickup.
So Mike Thomas, the captain last year, captain on special teams, does not make your roster. Nope. And Brandon Wilson, obviously getting hurt last year, but the kick return phenom, Brandon Wilson does not make this roster either. Very interesting. So here we go. Here this is. Oh, wait, go ahead. You want to say something?
Yeah, I do. The Mike Thomas is a special teams demon for the Bengals. I love that. But Nick Scott has been a starter for 1 year for the Rams. Before that, he was a special teams machine for them. So he can come in and play special teams for the Bengals. He's a big asset. Darren Simmons is going to love that because he can come in and give them some quality special team snaps.
All right. Okay. And then obviously Jalen Davis doesn't make this roster, which I'm very happy about. Okay, here we go. All right. So this is who you have. I'm going to go back over them real quick on defense. Hubbard, Murphy, Sample, Hendrickson, Osai, Reeder, Tupau, Hill, Carter, and Tuafale. Pratt, Bocce, Bailey, Wilson, Davis Gaither, Hill, Battle, Anderson, Scott, Owuzie, Turner, George, Britt, Jones, and Hilton are your 25 on defense.
Correct.
Okay. All right. So let's go back real quick and look at offense. And again, I want to go back and I want to look at this offensive line one more time because not only offensive line, but tight end, right? All I've heard about during the draft is the Bengals, how much they're an 11 personnel and how much they don't use a tight end and all this other stuff. Why keep 3 tight ends, Mon? Why would we keep 3 tight ends and leave off a Stanley Morgan or a Trent Taylor, guys that can actually provide us quality snaps, than to keep a guy like Asiasi? I need you to explain that to me. Why would we keep Asiasi if we're an 11 personnel 88% of the time? Why would we leave off a Stanley Morgan, who again the Bengals absolutely love? I don't think there's any way Stanley Morgan doesn't make this team, Mon. So either Asiasi or Chris Evans does not make this football team, because I'm going to tell you right now, there's no way Stanley Morgan does not make this team, Mon.
The Cincinnati Bengals never go below 3 tight ends. NFL teams normally carry 4 or 5. For them to be at 3 is light. That's light compared to NFL standards. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. 11 personnel, there's still a tight end on the field, correct?
Correct, but
so again, they need a tight end on 88% of the snaps.
Yeah,
the other guys play special teams.
Right. Yes, and agreed. But if all I'm hearing about is a tight end doesn't play a big role in this offense, why would we keep a third tight end and kick out a guy who does play a huge role on this football team in Stanley Morgan? Again, Asiasi, played some special team snaps and played here and there on offense. But if tight end is really that important, then why did we not go out and get another tight end? Why are we looking at Irv Smith, who I think is going to be a good football player for this team, but why are we looking at Irv Smith, Drew Sample, and Asiasi if tight end is not important on this football team? And we're going to kick off a guy like Stanley Morgan, who does everything he's asked to do on this football team. On
Jake, it's a numbers game. We just invested 2 wide receivers in the draft. They only keep 6. Sometimes they keep 7. They could keep 7, but who goes? Who goes? It's going to be between Taylor. It's going to be the 2 rookies that just got drafted are going to make the team. Everybody says Yoshivas could get cut. I just don't see that because I think he's going to get plucked, and he'll be on somebody else's roster. So it's going to be one spot for Irwin, Taylor, and Stanley Morgan. Stanley Morgan he's not an offensive threat. He plays a lot of special teams, which is so important. But I think they have to have a tight end to run their offense. They have to have a capable tight end of running their offense. Tight end is the 4th option the way this Bengals offense is currently constructed. They're wide receiver centric, and tight ends are the 4th option. And so, I get what you're saying, but I think they keep a minimum of 3, which is below the league average.
Well, then what about Chris Evans?
Chris Evans could get cut. They have played with 3 running backs on the roster. Sometimes running backs. Chris Evans has been inactive, but most of his career, at least last year, he was inactive multiple games. Jake, there's just so much talent there. There's so much talent, and if that light bulb could come on, he could make this offense even better. And I'm just holding out hope that it does come on and things click for him because he could be special. He really could.
Well, I think the other thing we haven't considered yet either is, you look at a guy like Travion Williams, who we all love, but if Charlie Jones ends up being a kick return, punt return guy that we can count on, this Travion Williams, is he the odd man out of this roster? Obviously he's our starting kick returner now, but if they feel like they can get more explosion from Charlie Jones, is Travion Williams the odd man out to keep Stanley Morgan?
That's a good question, but I think Charlie Jones is going to be more of a punt returner only. And I think Travion's going to stick with returning kicks. Travion has been a survivor on this team. Is this his 5th year in the league?
I feel like it is.
Yeah, he was drafted under Marvin Lewis. Was he not drafted under Marvin Lewis?
I believe so. It's either his 4th or his 5th year.
Right, he's a survivor.
Fourth would have been Zach Taylor's first year. So it might be his 5th. You might be right about that.
Yeah, he's like.
He might. This might be his 6th, right?
I'm not really sure. I need to look that up. Okay. But he's obviously liked by the staff. Texas A&M. Zach Taylor has Texas A&M connections also. Yeah. So I don't think he's going to go anywhere. I think he's going to make the team. I think he's a key special teams player. Again, the Stanley Morgan thing is hard, but Travion is a special teamer, and Bocce and Marcus Bailey. So the Bengals have a great roster, and they can't keep everybody, and it's tough. It's tough, it's good to be in this position where good players are getting cut. That means you're doing a good job in the front office.
All right, so let's look at defense real quick because, again, as I said before, Terrell Basham is going to be a very interesting camp guy to me. I think he is a guy that has a real good shot of making this roster. I really do, Maan. I think he, again, he's a guy that's been around the league. He has had a lot of production, and he is a I don't want to say a quality edge rusher, but he's pretty solid for sure. And I think he's a guy that very well can make this team. Again, I think it's going to be interesting to see how this linebacker room kind of unfolds, because I think that really is where we're going to find out if Terrell Basham makes this team. I'm not saying a guy like Joe Bocci doesn't make the squad, but he is that Mike backer. And what's more important to the Bengals, who really run a lot of two linebackers onto the field, where you could have maybe an edge specialist like Terrell Basham. I think Joe Bocci is going to be fighting for a roster spot. And I think they could keep 11 defensive linemen on this roster. I really do believe that. And then we look at DB. I just don't see how Michael Thomas does not make this team. I think being a captain, the Bengals obviously love his locker room presence. Is he a high end safety? Obviously he's not going to be starting at safety for us. But I just don't see Michael Thomas not making this team. And again, it's like this is like the Stanley Morgan of the defensive side of the ball. Michael Thomas doing everything the Bengals ask him to do. And you know how important that locker room presence is to Zach Taylor and his coaching staff. I don't see Michael Thomas not making this roster, Mon. I think Michael Thomas has a better chance of making this roster than maybe a Sidney Jones. I think Sidney Jones is a guy who could be really fighting for a roster spot here. Because as you said, Dax Hill very well he's flexible enough that he can play. He played corner last year. They could move pieces around, having Dax Hill, and then obviously moving Jordan Battle to safety. So you have Battle and Scott at safety if you need Hill to go to corner. I think maybe it's a 5-5 thing. I don't think they keep 6 corners, Mon. I don't think Sidney Jones makes this team.
It could be 5-5. Sidney Jones only signed a 1-year league minimum contract, just over league minimum. I think $1.1 million, and I think Basham signed pretty much the same contract or similar contract. Mm-hmm. There's no guarantee for those guys. If the Bengals did cut him, it's minimal to them. Sidney, the positives about Basham and Jones, they have multiple NFL starts under their belts, and Mike Thomas has played numerous NFL games, mostly special teams. I get what you're throwing down there. He's a great special teamer, great leader. He's a captain. He could easily make the team again, but then you just presented that great question. If we keep him, who goes? Is it Alan George? Is it Sidney Jones? These are not easy decisions, and they're fluid. They could change. Injuries happen. Mike Thomas could make the team. They could go 11. I mean, instead of 10, you never know. They could go 9. So this is just the initial after the draft 53. This is going to change. But if I had to make the decision today, this is my 53-man roster. And there's some tough cuts there, some very tough cuts.
Really tough cuts. And again, too, real quick, back to the offensive line. I don't want to sound like I'm harping on this, but I don't see Akeem Adeniji making this team. I really don't. I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't think he makes this roster. I think we have seen a large enough sample size, and I think the coaches have too. I think Adeniji right now is on that roster edge where he's walking that very fine line, because I think a guy like Max Sharping, who the Bengals love, and as you said, you brought up Deontay Smith. I don't know. I don't see Akeem Adeniji making this team, Mon. I think it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with him.
It is. He has multiple NFL starts for the Bengals. A Super Bowl year, he started 9 games. His problem is he's just not a big man. He gets bull rushed, and he just can't anchor. It's going to be between him and Smith, or there could be a late cut in preseason where the Bengals claim somebody on the waiver wire. I want to go on the record. I'm not the biggest fan of Sharping. He was a second-round pick of the Texans. They released him. The NFL they are looking for offensive linemen. Every team needs offensive linemen. You just don't release second-round picks.
Yeah.
I don't. We'll see. Hopefully, they got great coaching and he develops. And let's put it this way: if he's starting for us, it means one of our big two guards is hurt. We don't want that. We want them to play the whole year. I don't know. I'm
it's.
up
I
in
mean,
the air about it.
this is why we just get to do a podcast and not have to make these tough decisions, because there are going to be some serious decisions to be made this year for sure. Go ahead. What are you going to say?
No, there's one player that a dark horse candidate to make this team.
Okay.
It's going to be Nate Gillum. He was the late season. He was signed by the Steelers last year as undrafted free agent. He only lasted like 2 weeks with the Steelers. They cut him in minicamp. The Bengals quickly claimed him, and they played him in the preseason. I think they like what they saw. Reading the scouting report on him, he's only like 305 pounds, needs to get stronger, but he started at Wake Forest, got some all ACC consideration. One full offseason, lifting weights, getting stronger. I remember Hobson had wrote something about him. The coaches really like him. Nate Gillum is somebody to look out for because if he has a great camp, he could sneak onto the roster.
Interesting. That would be interesting. The offensive line room is going to be very interesting. Again, another one of those battles. It's already been shooken up a little bit, obviously, with Orlando Brown going out, the Bengals signing him, and then obviously with the Jonah Williams fiasco. It's already been shooken up a little bit. So going to be very interesting. And then you got La'el Collins. You got that factor, that X factor of La'el Collins coming back off of PUP. If he comes back healthy, man, oh man, Bengals are going to have some really, really tough decisions to make. Again, I love – this is the part that I love. I love this personnel part and to see how this whole thing kind of pans out. Before we go though, Mon, I just want to throw out one more thing here, and I'm going to put you on the spot. Okay, I am going to go ahead and list our free agents coming up the next 2 years, and I want you to tell me who is going to get another contract with the Bengals. This is tough. This is really tough. But I figure we're doing personnel right now. I got you in your button down and your smart glasses. You are totally locked in as the GM right now. You just got us cut to 53. Now I want to know who is going to be on the roster. Who is going to get another contract with the Bengals? This is tough. Wait till you hear these names. All right, you ready?
Yes.
I'm going to give you the name, and then I'm going to give you the year that they are up. Okay. All right. So I'm going to say Joe Burrow. Obviously, he's got one more year. Actually, now he's got 2 years because they just picked up that 5th-year option on Joe Burrow. So Joe Burrow is right now. He is definitely a Bengal through to 25. All right. So here we go. You ready?
Yes.
All right. This is tough.
Real quick. Yeah. I'm just going to write down the player I don't think will be. Okay. So I'm not going to. So when I name that player, you know where I'm going.
All right. Here we go. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Here are the guys through 25. Again, remember, Joe Burrow just signed that 5th-year option. So I'm going to put him through 25. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Joe Burrow, 25. Joe Mixon, 25. Jamar Chase, 25, but the Bengals have that 5th-year option with Jamar Chase possibly through 26. T. Higgins, 24. Tyler Boyd, 24. Ted Karras, 25. Jonah Williams, 24. Jackson Carman, 25. And La'el Collins, 25. Mon, who does not, I guess you're going to tell me who does not get another contract with the Cincinnati Bengals?
This is easy.
All right, go ahead.
Joe Mixon, Tyler Boyd, Ted Karras, Jonah Williams, and Collins will not be re-signed by the Cincinnati Bengals.
Wow.
They will finish out their contracts. At least most of them will. And I don't think they'll be re-upped. I think they'll be replaced by younger players.
You think Ted Karras is not getting another contract?
Ted Karras has 2 more years, correct?
Yes.
Okay, he's 31 right now, I believe.
Yes.
Okay,
I
so
think,
he'll be
yeah,
32.
31.
Yeah, he'll be in the early 30s, which is not old, but it's football old. I think the Bengals will have his replacement by next year's draft and give them a year to work under his belt. I would be stunned if Ted Karras signs another contract with the Bengals.
What about
I'm not
Jackson
saying I don't
Carman?
want him to be.
You think Jackson Carman
I
get another contract?
I did
You
not
kept him.
include him in that. I did
You
keep him.
kept
I
him.
did keep him. We'll see how we to be determined this year. To be determined at the end of this year. But
Okay.
Collins,
So
well,
we're
the reason
keeping
why,
Burrow.
listen, Carmen doesn't make a lot of money. He's a second round pick. His contract is minimal. These other guys have a lot, so that's why I'm not including him.
Okay. All right. So we got Burrow staying, Jamar, T, and Jackson Carman are staying. Mixon, TB, Karras, Jonah, and La'el Collins no longer will be Bengals when their contracts are up. Woo! Woo! That's tough. All right, here we go. You ready? Let's go to defense real quick before we get out of here.
Okay.
Are you ready? Same
Yes.
thing. I'm gonna do the same thing.
Okay.
Cam Sample, 25. DJ Reader, 24. Josh Tupou, 24. BJ Hill, 25. Trey Hendrickson, 25. Joseph Asai, 25. Logan Wilson, 24. Akeem Davis Gaither, 24. Cheeto Wuzier, 24. And Mike Hilton, 25. Mon, who out of those guys do not get another contract with the Bengals?
That was a lot of reading there. That was a lot. I didn't write these all down very well.
Let me go one more time. I'll do it one more time for you.
Okay.
Here you go, real quick.
Go ahead.
Cam Sample, 25. DJ Reader, 24. Josh Tupou, 24. BJ Hill, 25. Trey Hendrickson, 25. Joseph Asai, 25. Logan Wilson, 24. Akeem Davis Gaither, 24. Cheeto Awuzie, 24. And Mike Hilton, 25.
Okay. Controversial. It's going to hurt some people's feelings. Hendrickson is gone. He will not get renewed.
Wow.
Hilton will be gone. He will not be renewed.
Wow.
Cheeto will be gone. He will not be renewed.
Wow. What?
Gaither will be gone. He will not be renewed. Hill will be gone. He will not be renewed. Tupou will be gone, and he will not be renewed. I want to put Reader on this list, but I'm not. Reader's going to sign at least a 1-year extension. He has to, because he's the Joe Burrow to our defense. He is that important. But some of these guys are going to want $20 million contracts. Jake, our defense is going to be super young. When you have 3 players, Higgins, Chase, and Burrow, making up 45% of our payroll, you can't keep these guys. Hendrickson is making $16 million a year. He's going to want at least that, if not more. Hilton, he's getting up there a little bit in age, has some tread on him. Cheeto, he is underpaid right now. The Bengals got him for a bargain. He's going to want a payday.
Okay.
Gaither, he's 50-50 on him, but we just don't keep a lot of linebackers. We're going to keep Logan Wilson. BJ Hill just signed his contract last year. He's making $10 million a year. Tupou's making $2 million. Reader is making $15 million. I'm keeping Reader, but those other ones I listed, they're going to be replaced by draft picks.
So we're keeping Cam Sample, DJ Reader.
Yes.
Cam Sample, DJ Reader. We're keeping Joseph Asai. We're keeping Logan Wilson.
Yes.
Wow. So no Cheeto, no Hilton, no Gaither, no Hendrickson, no Tupou, no Hill.
Yeah. And I think the Bengals are following my lead because we've drafted 5 defensive backs in 2 years.
Okay. All right. We will see. Listeners, please go on and comment and let us know. Let us know about your 53, because I'm sure a lot of you disagree with Maan. I know I do. Let us know. Let us know, listeners, what changes would you make with your 53? And then I gotta know, guys. I gotta know. Do you agree with Maan who we are going to be keeping and who are we going to be letting go when their contracts are up? Let us know if there's anything you think differently there. Maan, I know I put you a lot on the spot tonight, but you are wearing the smart glasses. You got the button down. You had the jacket on for the draft. You got that GM role going. So we'll see. We will see. I think it's going to be very interesting. And we're going to know more, I think, coming up here because I do think we are going to see Burrow, Logan Wilson, and T. Higgins all gain extensions before we kick off in the fall. So I think from there, I think it's going to be interesting what the Bengals do and how they move money around. But obviously, with the draft this year and last year, they are trying to go younger on defense for a reason, Mon, maybe to save money, like you said.
Yeah, it's like we said it a few episodes ago, Jake. The Jesse Bates hurt him leaving to the Falcons hurt a lot of people. We're going to have a Jesse Bates situation every year. We're going to have a player that we really adore and we just love. We don't want him to leave. It's going to happen. That's what happens when you have great rosters, Super Bowl caliber rosters, and that's what we have. So it's going to be tough. Get ready for it, guys. Get your heart ready for it.
All right. Well, next week is going to be fun, Mom. We got rookie mini camp. We got schedule release. Real quick, Mon. Real quick. Do the Bengals get the full amount of primetime games? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. And number two, do we get more division primetime games at home than we did last year?
We better, because I will go bat crap crazy. And I didn't say the S word because it's a family show. I will lose my crap if that happens. If we get, oh God, Roger Goodell.
All right, last question about the schedule. Who are we kicking off against? We talked about this on the draft special with Ace and Zim. Are you still going with Kansas City?
You know what? That was a segment where Lindsey Patterson chimed in.
Yes.
She brought up a really good point.
She brought up a lot of good points.
She did, and she swayed me. I do not want to start with the Chiefs. I don't want to start with the Chiefs. I'd rather have that later on. Hopefully CBS protects that game. Saying that, Jake, I think we will be the Chiefs. Week 1. I'll tell you why. Tell you why. It's on. I'm not just saying this because I'm a Bengal homer. Mm-hmm. It's become one of the biggest rivalries in sports.
It has.
In sports.
It has.
And it's going to be ratings gold. It'll probably set a record for NFL kickoff. So I don't want it to be, but I expect it to be. Let's put it that way.
All right. Going to be interesting. All right, guys. That is another edition of the Bengals Pulse. As always, guys, make sure you check us out on Apple, Stitcher, and Spotify, all those podcast platforms. If you like this podcast, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to this podcast. As always, if you like it, give Mon and I that 5-star review. We'd very much appreciate it. Please follow us on Twitter at Bengals_Pulse9 and on Instagram, the same without the at Bengals_Pulse9. And go ahead and follow Mon and I as well. Our Twitter handles right down here underneath our beautiful faces. A little bit farther over. There you go. All right. Make sure you follow us on Twitter as well. And as always, guys, make sure you check out all the awesome podcasts right here on the Wincinnati Podcast Network. He is Mon. I am Jake. This is the Bengals Pulse. We will see you next week for the schedule release. Hoo day, Bengal fans.
See you guys.
Have a good one.